Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay in the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Kirk Your Enthusiasm. Just another mediocre podcast on the Mavs Moneyball feed. How are you, Luke Askew, joining us today?
I'm doing great. Got Summer League right around the corner. Well, I guess it's kind of cooking right now, but Vegas Summer League right around the corner. And that's, what they say. It's the best basketball the world has to offer. So,
and it's always fun whenever a Summer League guy goes off the way Chet did the other night, because
oh man,
it's so often the social media timeline isn't watching the same thing, and it's like during the finals only for the most insane hardcore fans that are like watching a Utah Summer League game, or maybe they're in the California Classic. I wasn't paying too close of attention, but it's just a lot of fun. So let's kind of hop right into it, because neither one of us has a lot of time, but I definitely wanted to do this before Summer League starts. So the Mavericks play 4 games here, and the first one is on Friday afternoon, and you are working on a piece which by the time this goes up should also be up, or at least will come soon after it, about sort of the intriguing players on the roster. So let's talk about who you want to talk about.
Yeah. So I have 5 guys I'm looking at. You want them 5 to 1?
Let's do 5 to 1.
Perfect. Actually, before I get into 5, I want to do a quick little shout out to my honorable mention, Derek Alston Jr., 6'9", athletic forward, could potentially have some Summer League moments, and he's a wing. The Mavs need more wings. I think one thing that's fun to think about with Summer League is who could potentially end up making a roster at some point. It's a lot easier to talk about that now and be optimistic about that. And then you see when the actual final rosters come out in October, it's a lot more bleak. There aren't as many Summer League guys as you think, but Derek Alston Jr. has a chance to be one of those guys that could make it. He had a good G League season last year, and I'm excited he's on the Mavs team, but I just wanted to give a quick little shout out to him.
Love it.
So my number 5 guy is, I lost my list here. There it is. My number 5 guy is a guy that I'm not sure how many NBA people have heard of, but a lot of college basketball people know him, Sam Wardenberg. Sam Wardenberg played for Miami for, I think 4 or 5 years. He might have actually even been a 6-year red shirt senior with
this
all
dude's
of the
photo. He looks like he could write on our staff. He's a 6'10", 225-pound forward out of Miami, and he's from New Zealand.
Kind of looks like you a little bit.
I did kind of look like this in high school. I'm looking at this guy's photo. So I see here he played 6 years at Miami because he had to red shirt 1 year for his normal, and then the COVID red shirt, which the NCAA allowed. So he's a 20. I guess he's still only 23 despite playing that much. That's interesting.
Yeah, so he's a guy that, as far as Summer League ceilings go, I would say his ceiling's not too high, but he's older, he has a lot of experience. He's going to be ready to play right away. I like, his tape is kind of fun. A lot of his highlights, and anybody who's watched Miami, they had a successful year this year, and he was a big part of it. He's more mobile and more athletic than you'd think he would be. Just looking at him on the court, he moves better than you would think, and he shoots the 3 ball pretty well. That's something that's improved for him over the course of his career. And he has really nice vision. He doesn't rack up assists, only 2 a game in 30 minutes. But his vision is really nice. And I think he could be one of those guys where the NBA game kind of opens up his tool set a little bit, just in terms of his pick and pop ability, his vision with more open court spacing and stuff like that. Odds are he'll be in the G League next year or playing overseas somewhere. But he's my number 5 guy. I'm intrigued. Um, he is one of the guys that I will be watching for, and I hope. I mean, the first game hasn't kicked off yet for the Mavs, so we have no idea really what the priority is for Coach St. Jean in terms of who's going to be getting a lot of these minutes around the fringes. But I hope Sam Wardenberg is a guy that gets some good run, because he's fun to watch.
That minutes thing is pretty important, because it's weird how sometimes they have like these rosters of 14 or 15 guys, and then the coaches will play 7 dudes. And it's like, what's the point? Like, have a 10-person roster if that's what you're going to do. But anyways, that's worth noting, because it's like right off the bat, it's like Moses Wright is on this team, former 2-way player for the Mavericks, and where they go with the minutes is going to be worth it. But that if he does get to play, his size alone and the skill set you described makes him sort of a potential fun summer league player.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of shaping up to be one of those guys that summer league fans might kind of gleam onto, and like you said, he looks like he should be writing for our site, not playing on the court. And Alex Caruso is another guy who had that kind of mentality and then picked up some steam at summer league. So I don't know. I'm excited for him. My number 4, and you can tell by the fringe guys I'm kind of getting into here, just at number 5 and number 4. The Mavs don't have a very fun summer league team. I feel like I should have said that earlier.
No, they don't. They never do. It makes me sad. Like the Dennis Smith Jr. years were fun, but it's like when you don't really have rookies, you don't really have slots. It's like, what are you going to do?
Right. So we are kind of, we're digging deep to find some intriguing guys. That's here. Okay. But number 4, I have Marcus Bingham Jr. From Michigan. He's a big man, super long, blocks a lot of shots. Started developing his 3-ball. Played at Michigan State under Tom Izzo. He's an interesting prospect. He went undrafted in the 2022 draft, so pretty raw still. But he's a guy that the Mavs took a flyer on with their summer league team, and that's pretty much all I got for him.
So, well, it's interesting. So I'm reading, I should have sent you this, a great editor by me. The Mavs sent out this like series of bios a couple of days ago, and I just forgot I had it. So I was looking through my email. He grew from 6'2" as a high school freshman to 6'10" as a senior. So I think part of where like the rawness comes from is just when you go through that sort of size leap, you have to relearn how to play basketball, and you're probably put in a different position. So that's interesting. I know our guy, Ian Cobb, is writing a piece, or at least he says he's writing a piece on Marcus Bingham, because this strikes me as the sort of, until they had, if the Mavericks happen to make a move to where they move on from any of the bigs that they have, meaning primarily Dwight Powell, it wouldn't shock me if somehow like Bingham ends up as like a 2-way guy for the Mavericks, if there's any interest, because you just need big man depth, and a 7-foot tall guy, 230 pounds. Like, that's interesting, period. So,
yeah. And he moves, it's kind of interesting to watch him play. I mean, he's not built the same as Bol in terms of the extremes, but he kind of moves a little bit like him in terms of like, he just looks so long, and his presence is kind of menacing on the court. And one thing that's interesting about him, and I'll kind of mention this a little bit with my next guy too, is guys like this in summer league, if you're in person watching, it's pretty crazy because it's such an intimate setting. So the guys that have really wild physical attributes jump off the page more because you're right there next to them. And so he's a guy that he'll command the gym when he walks in. And it'll be interesting. I agree with what you said. I could see him ending up as a 2-way guy, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Number 3 is where I think it starts to get actually fun. Number 3, I have Jalen Q. Now Jalen Q. He's been in the G League for a couple years, I believe, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Didn't end up taking off after his high school career the way I think a lot of people thought he would.
Yeah, he went
He's
undrafted in 2019. Yeah.
Yep. He's 6'4". Just an absolute dynamic athlete. Nicknamed Baby Westbrook.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's got out of the world hops, and his YouTube videos are some of the most fun things you can find. Those, YouTube dunks don't translate to actual good basketball, which is why he hasn't fully taken off, but he has gotten better in each of his 3 seasons in the G League. He's shown improvements. His jumper is looking better. He feels like he's under more control than he used to be. He's a guy that I think he's only played 9 total NBA games.
Yep, I'm looking at it here, and he spent some time with the Suns, but then he somehow got traded to Oklahoma City and then got traded to Indiana. So it's like he spent some time on these rosters. He just hadn't got a lot of playing time. Like he played 4 games with the Pacers, and then he played like 5 games with the Suns. Like, so he had very minimal experience.
Yeah, and he's still, like we said, he went undrafted in 19, but he was young then, and so he's still only 22, I believe. I think he just turned 22.
Yeah, he was 19 in like a week at the start of the like he was barely 19 when the draft happened.
Yep. So he's a guy that like I've been into him since I saw his high school tapes. I've been intrigued by his career because he does have some of the most jaw-dropping dunks that you will see. And so part of the reason I have him so high on my list isn't even for the chance of him making the Mavs roster. It's just because he's going to make summer league fun. If there's a runway, if he gets out on a fast break, anything like that, if somebody tries to take a charge on him, there's going to be poster dunks. He's gonna light up the gym. I'll be interested to see how much playing time he gets, especially with Jaden Hardy on the team, because
little like duplicate. Yeah.
So, but I have him as number 3 because I think if there's one Mavericks Summer League guy who could pop out a highlight that ends up on House of Highlights over the course of the 10-day Summer League, I think it's him. He's just kind of got that it factor that Vegas Summer League needs in its own very unique way.
Right.
But I don't think he'll be on the Mavericks next year. So temper your excitement, folks. I know.
I mean, it kind of comes down to is like, are any of these guys like camp invites? That's sort of the question that I have. Like,
yeah,
it's always rare, but you never know. I mean, and then who was the Suns' backup guard who could shoot threes? Failed lottery prospect. What the heck was his name? He was in the Mavs Summer League team a couple years ago. Suns point guards. I did this to you last time. Cameron Payne. Cam Payne ended up getting a G League, getting a deal with another team while on the Mavs Summer League team. So sometimes it's more fun. Like there might not be like roster spots for the Mavs, but a lot of these guys that come out here to play are still looking for like opportunities elsewhere, including opportunities overseas.
Absolutely. Another interesting kind of aspect of it all is like you said, the training camp invites, who's just going to get invited to camp and who's going to go next. And like we saw last year, Eugene Omarui was a summer league guy for the Mavs, and he ended up getting a training camp invite and ended up getting a two-way deal for a little while. He got hurt, and that short circuited his Mavs two-way career. But I think my favorite kind of over the last year, the thing I've been looking back most at, and this is what your Cameron Payne thing reminded me of, is Max Strus was lighting up Summer League last year.
Miami Heat guy Max Strus, for anybody who might not have followed the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, he was like I
Playoffs.
mean, I think he averaged over I think he averaged over 20 points per game in the Vegas Summer League last year. I remember catching him in person a couple times. He's a guy that had been around the block, and it's kind of surprising that nobody scooped him up until really the Heat did and turned him into a valuable player this year.
Right.
But he basically market corrected $90 million Duncan Robinson and just 365 days ago was playing in the Las Vegas Summer League. So that there are guys that can come out of here and matter that you might not expect, but it is a rare, there's a reason that I remember that Max Strus had over 20 points per game in the Summer League last year and is now contributing on a good team, because it doesn't happen often. But I can move on to my number 2. You mentioned him earlier. My number 2 is Moses Wright. I think having been on a 2-way contract for the end of this year, I think he signed it in February with the Mavs. That kind of grandfathers you into being one of the more intriguing Summer League prospects. Having any experience with the team at all, it sort of sets maybe a standard of expectations almost. Not that anyone's expecting Moses Wright to be anything great, but he was on the team and they gave him a contract. They valued him enough to give him a 2-way spot.
For everyone that doesn't remember, Moses Wright is 6'8", about 225 pounds, and has a +6 wingspan. Like, the man's arms just keep going. And he was it's going to be interesting to see if he can do anything. If he can do anything at all. The most likely answer is, to be blunt, probably not enough to make a difference, but a very solid showing for Wright at Summer League would be very important for his professional future if he hopes to stay stateside.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, his frame is unreal. His physical profile, he looks like an NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged right around 20 points in the G League last year with his time with the Texas Legends. Had a nice career at Georgia Tech. He's a guy that could be one of those guys who goes underlooked for a while and then somehow turns into a rotational, 3-4 that comes off the bench and can give you spot minutes of defense and rebounding.
Yeah.
Which the Mavericks will need some of that. They need more wings, and he's a guy that they'll have in their system that if they want to give him a chance, full time or on another 2-way deal or whatever the case may be, he's a guy that I could see getting that chance.
Sure.
Number 1, I'm guessing you know who it is. Jaden Hardy, our only draft pick this year. Draft picks are usually the most fun guys to watch at Summer League. Unfortunately, we don't have a lottery pick or anything like that. But Jaden Hardy's who we got. What do you think about Jaden Hardy in Summer League, Kirk?
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked me this. So yesterday I tweeted out, what are some reasonable expectations for Hardy? And I don't remember who told me this because I don't have my feet up at the moment, but somebody responded with the effect of, I hope he looks comfortable in the situation and environment because he's played 25 G League games against, mature competition. And that's not like a great level of expectation, but not looking like a deer in headlights would go a long way to making me feel comfortable about his future. I love his shot from what I've seen, and I'm going to be curious as to what role they put him in, because I think a lot of our fans think he is a point guard. I don't know if that's the case now, because ball handling is something Luka's made us stupid in this regard. Luka just fixes elements of his game. Ball handling is hard. If you're not kind of with it by a certain point in time in your life, getting better at it is really difficult, because there's not this, you don't get put in situations where you can handle the ball a ton. That's why Tyrell Terry running the point last year was kind of interesting, because I don't know about you, but I thought by the end of before he hurt himself, I thought it was pretty evident that he's a scoring guard. And I think that might be the same thing with Hardy. That's not a knock. It's just, it matters. I think that Jaden Hardy might be an eventual Tim Hardaway replacement, not Jalen Brunson replacement. Is that wild?
No, I think I think you're dead on. I think there is a lot of talk about him being a Brunson type replacement amongst the fans just because of the timing of the deal, but I don't think that's the reasoning behind the draft pick. I think he is just a scoring guard who has upside as a scoring guard, and they had an opportunity to get in and get the most talented guy left in the draft at that spot, and they took him. He's not Jalen Brunson's best qualities in my eyes were his sure-handedness, steadiness with the ball, reliability. He wasn't going to turn it over. That is not who Jaden Hardy is at all. If they wanted a Jalen Brunson replacement, they should have taken a 4-year senior point guard almost of the exact Jalen Brunson mold. But that's Jaden Hardy is not that guy.
So, but my expectation for him is to look comfortable. The coach talked about how good of a practice he thought they've had, and that, it could be like silly coach speak, but I don't know. I'm very interested to see how this team performs, because it's usually one of the teams that's like mid to lower tier in terms of like marquee names that actually goes the farthest in summer league, because the guys just want to keep playing, and the Mavs sort of have a roster like that. I'm really curious. I think it will be fun. I do hope he shoots the ball okay, but again, this is situationally. Like, the shots he's going to get from playing with any, Spencer Dinwiddie or Luka Doncic are wildly different than any other potential guard that he plays with on this team. So it's like, what things does he do that could translate in 10 minutes a game at the NBA level? So
yeah. I mean, and like you said, like the Mavs do have a team full of guys that are going to be interested in continuing to play, and I think I'm looking back at over the years summer league MVPs. Jaden Hardy oddly fits that mold. A scoring guard last year, it was Davion Mitchell and Cam Thomas shared it. I think the award. Both guys were kind of doing their thing. Cam Thomas is probably a closer Jaden Hardy comp. A couple years before that, Josh Hart. It's guys like that. It's not the number one overall picks that win summer league MVP, or that even, because those guys, the franchises have a rooted interest in keeping them healthy and protecting them, and they want to get their feet wet a little bit. It would not surprise me if Chet Holmgren does barely plays again after being awesome in game 1 in Salt Lake City. Would not surprise me if his summer league run was near over. It's guys like Jaden Hardy that the Mavs should have no interest in holding him back. They should let him go. He's looking like he's going to be a potential two-way guy anyways, a guy that's going to spend a lot of time in the G League. He's not crucial to their success this year. He was kind of, a free lottery ticket almost, or a cheap lottery ticket. And I think they're going to let him go. I think you're going to see him shoot the ball a lot. I'm hoping the biggest thing I'm going to keep an eye on is his finishing. In the G League, it was really bad, and that's been a talking point, and that's pretty much what everybody's been saying about it, about him since the draft and even before the draft. So I'm guessing, he's a young guy that has a phone. I'm guessing he's seen those things that have been said about him. And I'm looking forward to him taking his finishing seriously. I know I saw a clip today. I think Callie Kaplan asked him after the practice today what he had been working on, and he mentioned finishing at the rim.
Biggest knock, seems like.
Yep, absolutely his biggest knock. And I'm glad it feels like he has an awareness about that. And I think a lot of the G League stuff might have been a lack of focus, because he wasn't just unable to convert tough finishes. He was just missing open layups. So I'm hoping there's a more focused effort on finishing at the rim, and that's what I'm going to look to see. I don't care about efficiency in summer league. Get your shots up. And yeah, I'm excited. I think Jaden Hardy could end up being one of those guys that ends up making some noise at summer league, just because he has the talent and he should have the leash.
Well, I think we do have to touch upon one more person before we go. That's at least just because I don't know if I'm going to have any other means to talk about this, and I don't want to make too big a deal out of it because I think people get upset with me when I do this. But the Mavericks are electing not to play Josh Green, which it was 50-50 for me. And the coach's comments yesterday indicated that he's like with the team and practicing, working out, but he's not playing. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand this. I just can't. Do you have any thoughts about our guy Josh Green not playing?
I think what you had said, I can't remember if it was in a tweet, an article, or in our Slack, but you had said that you thought it looked like the Mavs were just kind of trying to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was pretty spot on.
But he's not a summer league player. Like I have to be fair to him in that regard. But basketball cannot be this difficult for him to where he can't go against the next tier of NBA of NBA kind of, I don't want to, like, wannabes is not what I mean. It's a negative connotation, but like if there are 450 NBA slots in the league, and you can assume that out of the world's best basketball players, about 350 of them play in the NBA. So that means there's like 100 or so people that are on rosters that could maybe play in Europe, maybe play in China, and vice versa around the world that could fit on NBA teams. Josh Green is unfortunately in that 100. Like, people aren't going to like that. I need to see how he does. There's a lot of kid gloves treatment with him. Well, we got to work on his game and work on his body. And you know what would work on his game? Playing in the games. And he's not going to get that with the Mavericks. Like, the Dorian Finney-Smith comps drive me crazy. Dorian Finney-Smith's third season, he had 253 point attempts. What world is Josh Green getting 3+ 3-point attempts a game next year? Am I nuts?
Yeah. No, you're not nuts. I think it would have benefited Josh Green to let him go out. I think where I give Josh Green a little bit of slack is that it can be hard to be a young guy on a contending team and been picked too high.
Yep.
He didn't ask to go.
No, he
didn't.
Get
drafted where he got drafted. Right. And he is playing in minutes that the Mavericks need to win. Yep. And so there's a lot of pressure there. And I would have loved for the coaching staff to be like, hey, Josh, like, I don't know if this is against the rules, but be like, $2,000 bonus if you can take 20 shots in a summer league game. Like, just do something. Like, just do something. Just go out, be free. Like, just
be free. That's a great way to phrase it. Go be free. Like, I would have loved to have seen Josh Green point guard. Like, everyone tells me all these different skill sets that he has, and I see flashes, but flashes does not keep you in the league. And what's most likely with Josh Green, and I just kind of say this on repeat, he's going to figure it out. The physical tools are there. Justin Anderson eventually figured it out, but he may not figure it out with the Mavericks. And I want him to have every opportunity to figure it out with the Mavericks. And by him not playing once again, because he should have played last year too, it's really frustrating. And there are all sorts of Mavs fans that I talk to. It's like, oh, it's summer league. Why would you play him? The Golden State Warriors played James Wiseman, Alex Kuminga, and Moody. And I'm not Alex Kuminga. What's wrong with me? Kuminga and Moody are like both played against the Mavericks in the playoffs and did well. Like, it's I don't know. I overreact to these sort of things, and summer is all about overreactions. But it's just something I wish I could have seen, because I'm now just sort of disappointed, and we're going to have to wait another 4 months until we see Josh Green play basketball.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of I think the perception around Josh, any supposed Josh Green negativity, is that we are like rooting for him to fail.
Right. Yeah.
That couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I like Josh Green, seems like a great kid, and Luka loves him. I want him to be successful. I have nothing against Josh Green. I don't understand how not playing in the summer league is the path to being successful for him. I feel like over and over again, by putting the kid gloves on him, we're not letting him like fail upwards.
It'd be cool if he went and played so well that the Mavericks were like, you don't need to play anymore.
Yeah. And everyone would love that. I would love that. I want Josh Green to be great. I want him to be great, but he's not right now. And right now, like you said, he's in that latter 100 tier. The summer league really is a league comprised of lottery picks and then international EuroLeague players. It's like lottery picks and guys that are going to play overseas, or in the G League. And Josh Green is definitely closer to playing overseas or in the G League than he is to being a actual heavy rotation NBA player. But that's not because the skills aren't there and the tools aren't there. He just needs to develop. And like you said, I don't understand why not putting him in a basketball game is the best way to help him be good at basketball games.
Right. So, well, Luke, once again, another outstanding show. We'll have to talk once we're watching some more summer league games, maybe early next week.
All right, I'll be watching them.
All right, guys. It's been Kirk Henderson and Luke Askew. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will talk to you soon.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.